Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's pretty good.
The Guardians lost again yesterday.
Oh.
Shutout 6-0. It's ugly. And
Yeah.
we're approaching the point of the season, which Jason's alluded to many times. Memorial Day is when I'm speaking for Jason, officially declares.
Well, it's the 1/3 point of the year.
It's do or die time.
It's when you know what you have. By that point, you got a pretty good feel of who you are.
Yeah. They're a bad baseball team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's flat out. They're a bad baseball team. If they were in the East or the West, the season would be over right now.
Yeah, and I think we need to gauge it on that and not the trash around them. You need to gauge it on what are we really? Who are we? What are we?
Could they still make the playoffs? Yes. I actually still think they're going to, as bad as they are, I still think they have a good chance to win the division. But the team right now, they can't win in the playoffs.
Oh, no.
They cannot win in the playoffs, even if they make it. You know, and I mean, you got Tampa Bay's playing great baseball. The Yankees are playing really well right now. Everybody in the East is at least solid. The Texas Rangers, they have a better run differential than Tampa.
And Tampa.
And DeGrom hasn't even played.
I mean, Tampa. It was the 20-1 game that threw everything off. That one game.
Yes.
So they got hammered by Toronto 20-1 and it screwed up their run differential.
But still,
the
Texas
point is
Texas is playing great.
And DeGrom's
without
been hurt.
DeGrom.
Right.
We know the Astros are good. The Angels are playing decent baseball. I mean, there's only one team from the Central going to the playoffs. That team is unlikely to do anything unless one of these teams makes additions or the Guardians are just flat out bad baseball team at the moment. Doesn't mean they're going to be all year, but right now they suck.
Yeah.
We're 5 games away from the 1/3 point of the season.
When you can't hit like that, it's crazy. Like,
it's hard to watch. They're hard to watch.
There's nothing to see. Like, there's not hard hit balls. There's not, a lot of different things. And like you said, I liked what Jason just spoke to earlier. He said, you got to compare these dudes with the good teams.
That's right.
Not who's in your division. And I think sometimes we kind of lean on that a little bit. Well, it's the Central, it's early.
Right.
We can hang around. But really, are you contenders? Because when you get in the playoffs, you got to be doing something. These guys is not going to be nowhere in the mix. And there's only going to be one team from the Central, and they're not going to make no noise.
Yeah.
They're 7 games under 500 for the first time since 2015.
That's a long time ago.
It was a long time. And that was the Swisher-born year when they had to just sort of blow everything up at midseason. And I think we're headed there. And it's not just like everyone's been clamoring for Bo Naylor. Bo Naylor isn't going to save the season.
No.
But it's a combination of things. Like, we're at the point where Tito's not going to do this. I really think it's time to move on from Ahmed Rosario and put Gabriel Arias at shortstop every day.
Yeah.
Move on from Mike Zunino and put Bo Naylor behind the plate.
Yes.
Figure out right field. Do something with, I wish it could be George Valera, but he's not ready. But maybe you just put Will Brennan out there and just leave him out there and let him play every day and see what you do. It's not just one minor tweak that you need. I think you need to make a couple of major jolts to this team to try and snap them out of this.
And listen, I agree with everything you're saying and everything you just said there. Here's the bottom line. This team has done nothing in free agency and trades of significance in a number of years now.
Yeah.
Right? And we were complaining about it, and then they had a great season last year. And because of that, and I think we overestimated their ability to repeat what they did last year.
Yeah.
Because what they did last year, in reality, was not sustainable. To have that much success from that many young players is not a sustainable way to win. But you thought, okay, the bullpen's so good and the rotation's so good that they'll be fine. But those things haven't. The rotation's been good, but not great, and the bullpen's been awful. So it's all falling apart here. Now, again, we do have a long season, and they might turn it around. But right now, there's very little reason to believe offensively they can turn anything around. They're only free agent additions. Bell's been
Bell's been terrible.
Well, he's been since the terrible start.
He's been terrible. Overall,
he's been terrible. Fair. Okay, Zunino's useless. You're getting nothing out of right. None of the young players, like they had all these young players. Gonzalez is back in the minors. Brennan's done nothing. Quan's been okay. But not great. Rosario has been terrible. Jimenez signs the big contract. He's been terrible. So who's producing? Naylor's been okay. Miles Straw stinks. That was a bad contract at the time. Everybody complained that I said it was a bad contract. Everybody went bananas for his defense. Everybody went bananas because he hit in spring training. He stinks.
Well, he stinks offensively, but you got a Gold Glover for $5 million. I don't think that's terrible. You were paying Hedges $6 million.
Well, they shouldn't have been doing that either. In 2023, you can't have a player that can't hit. Unless the rest of the lineup's great.
And we agreed on that. Yeah. I think you can carry Miles Straw as a Gold Glove center fielder, one of the most important positions at $5 million. That's not a lot of money in today's game.
But you don't want to not, like, this is not catcher. You don't want a non-hitting outfielder playing every day.
I think it's not so much the young players that haven't worked out for me. It's the big dollar investments that they've made that have let them down. Because how much different does this lineup look if Josh Bell is playing the way we thought, Zunino's having a decent, not a great, just a decent year, and Andres Jimenez is playing the way he did last year? This whole lineup looks different. I put it more on the big dollar investments that they made that haven't panned out. And the Josh Bell thing is scary because he's got a player option. Yeah. And if he didn't get it turned around, this is now a 2-year albatross.
That's true.
For a team that can't afford it.
So far, it's looked bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill him for it now because, again, I didn't liked it at the time.
Yeah.
But I think we need to call the Zunino thing what it is. It was a $6 million mistake. It was a gamble. They didn't do it. And the fact that they've missed on these guys, that they've invested big dollars. And Jimenez is not a miss to me.
It's too early.
He just hasn't played well.
Yeah.
But Bell is looking like a miss, and Zunino is for sure a miss.
And they've spent too many years. Like we've talked about all this prospect depth. They haven't used it to go out and get proven players.
Yeah.
And they've missed opportunities
here. And if they are not going to go get proven players, all the young dudes should be playing. I want to see Arias. I don't want to see Rosario no more.
And Tyler Freeman. Let's see him
Can I see him? And you moved Quan to center field. And listen, Gonzalez, you're going to figure it out up here. Go over there right field.
He's not even playing well at AAA, though. Like, they can't – the whole move Quan to center, they can't even figure out right field, let alone right field and left field.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of – I would rather have – if I know Straw can't hit and I know Gonzalez is struggling at this point, but at least I can put Will Brennan and get them some at-bats every day. If Brennan can get at-bats –
Brennan is playing, but he's not playing well. The thing is, like, the guys who are the top prospects, those guys have to play. And that's Arias, that's Freeman. We got to see, and Naylor. We got to see those guys play.
Where's this Valera's cat? Where's he at? What is he doing?
He's coming back from a hand.
Okay.
When you signed Jimenez long term, which I was all for it. I advocated for it. I wrote a whole column on it, and I still think I'm glad they made the deal. I still think he's going to be okay.
I agree.
You don't go from 7 WAR to not being able to hit.
No.
Like, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But once you committed to him, you no longer have room for Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias.
Well, then trade him and get some outfielders.
Agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think their inability to make a trade is what's got this whole thing clogged. And I don't know this. Spitballing. I think when they've trying to make trades for Sean Murphy or for Matt Olson or whatever, teams are asking for Gavin Williams, Espino, and Bybee. And I think they were hesitant to move on from those guys, so they keep hitting the roadblock. If we can't get this, then we're not going to deal with it. I think,
Jason, I get it. People want those guys. You got to give up something to get something.
I totally agree.
Right? And, like, you can't just sit on this trove of prospects, some of which you're overrating. Most of their hitting prospects for the last decade have not panned out.
I think that they would be happy to move on from Rocchio for the right. They'd include Rocchio in the right deal. I think they'd include Freeman in the right deal. Probably even include Valera in the right deal. I don't know this. I think they didn't want to touch those 3 pitching. And that is what I think has been an impediment to making deals.
Maybe so, but I find it impossible to believe that there aren't teams interested in some of these hitting
Sure,
guys.
But what are you going to get?
Well, you got to do something. You got to have some proven players.
But if you're not going to get Sean Murphy, if you don't include one of those 3 guys, if Oakland is adamant saying you have to include one of these guys,
include one of those guys. Let's go. You can't have these holes in the lineup. You can't keep stopgapping in all these positions.
Throw Bieber in with one of them. Like.
I think
Oakland's not looking for Shane Bieber.
I think Shane's going to be dealt this year, but I think there's no point in moving him now. Like, you have to wait.
No, he's got to turn it around.
Well,
I mean, he pitched better his last start.
He's going to be the best starter on the market, so you just want to let the demand increase with him. You don't move him now.
You trade him right at the deadline.
I would look for a Rosario move right now. Even if you don't get anything for him, you're not going to get much for him. I would look for a Rosario move right now. And just to clear the spot to get Arias at short, DFA Zunino, eat the $6 million. It kills teams like
already.
this.
Get Bo Naylor up here. Let's go.
If you're going to have a chance at turning this around, it has to be a dramatic shakeup. It can't just be one move on the same day. Zunino DFA'd, Shortstop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rosario traded.
Yeah.
Make these moves. Get these guys in here.
Yeah, they need to be aggressive.
And it's your chance. It's your one chance to sort of flip
Listen,
this thing.
This is
and
a
turn it
great
around.
front office. Doesn't mean you're immune to criticism. They've been a little too passive, I think. They got to be more aggressive. I know they're hamstrung by the owner and the payroll. That's not. There's nothing they can do about that. But we can't keep stopgap choices. Now, you and I both like the Bell signing. It's been a disaster. I said he's been. You're right. It's been a disaster so far. I thought he hit 30 home runs for them. He's done nothing. They had no power last year. They're worse this year. They have what, 25 home runs as a team?
Ish.
I'll tell you in a sec, they've scored fewer runs.
Have you ever heard?
I think they've had 28 home runs. Last I looked, I think they had 28, and 17 of them were solo shots.
Okay. Has any of you guys heard of Christopher Morel? Christopher Morel. Do we know who he is?
No.
They have 30 home runs as a team.
30. Okay.
Do you know Christopher Morel? Have you heard of him, Mike? Has anybody here heard of Christopher Morel?
No.
I don't think so.
Only because I know where you're going with this. But
All
yes.
right, he's a kid the Cubs. Now, I'm not complimenting the Cubs. It just happens to be the example because they've been their ass too, and they have a higher payroll in their ass. But the Cubs called this guy up 2 weeks ago. He's got 9 home runs.
Shut up.
He's got 9 home runs.
Shut your mouth.
The Guardians have 28 home runs in the season.
The Guardians have 30 this year. Pete Alonso has 18 by himself.
Oh, Pete Alonso's up to 18?
18.
Oh, my God.
See, this.
I mean, that's just crazy.
By the way, I apologize to the people. We were foolhardy. We thought that you was gonna steal these bases and you was gonna play this small ball and bunt people.
You can't do that if you don't get on base. They're not getting on base.
They ain't on base. They're not hitting the ball hard, and you cannot win when you're not. The 3-run home run is the great equalizer. Can you imagine in basketball if you just took mid-range jumpers and shot no threes? You get blown out. Like
well, right now, you already have in right field, in center field, and in catcher, you don't have a legit major league starter. Miles Straw's not a legit major league starter. Neither is Will Brennan, and neither is the catching situation.
But they don't even have traditional power positions.
Right. So, but you already have 3 spots where you don't have a legit major league starter. You got no power all over the place except for third base. Your shortstop's been awful. Your second baseman's been awful. Your first baseman / DH Naylor cannot hit lefties.
And by the way, don't look at Owen Miller's numbers in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he's done a nice job.
Batting 340, OPS over 900.
Yeah. They just gave him away. They gave away
But
him.
it goes back to the 40-man roster
That's right.
jam.
They gave
and
away.
It goes
And
back
I
to the
don't know if the
prospects.
rest of these guys are going to pan out. And Owen Miller's a small sample size, but they gave him away. They gave Will Benson away. He's been terrible so far in Cincinnati. It's a very small sample size. You gave away, what's his name? Nolan Jones, too. Like, you had to give those guys away. At one point, those guys were all decent prospects, especially Nolan Jones and Will Benson.
Well, the guy that got back for Nolan could be something, but he's a really low A guy. He's a A-ball shortstop.
Right, but at one point, Nolan Jones was the best prospect in your system,
yes.
and you essentially
and
gave
had
away.
You had to restart that whole process.
Exactly, and we can't keep doing this. They've got to get proven major league players.
Agreed.
That's the thing.
I agree.
Well, hey, you know what's intoxicating? Unbridled future. When you look over the horizon and you see, oh, we could be this. We can have look at all this potential. Man, the potential get you fired, bro. Like if these guys don't do nothing. And slowly but surely, we talked about it the whole time. Jose Ramirez is getting older and older and older.
Man, he's still not.
But here's what I'm saying. We talk about it with the Browns all the time. We're wasting Myles Garrett's prime. We're wasting Nick Chubb's prime. Obviously, Jose Ramirez has been a great player for the Guardians for a lot of years.
Yeah.
We take for granted that he's going to be at this level forever.
Yeah, but I would not put them anywhere near each other in categories because the Guardians, I wouldn't say have wasted Jose's years. He went to a World Series.
Right.
They're a postseason contender.
No, there's no
every
comparison. But the point is, if you don't put better talent around him soon, then the rest of his career could get wasted. Now, the Guardians are never going to stay bad, unlike the Browns. Hopefully the Browns won't stay bad anymore. Obviously, the Guardians are a much better run organization than the Browns.
Yes,
there's no comparison from that standpoint. But right now, it's like, it's ugly. And we've been talking about the hitting. The bullpen's been awful. It's been awful. And the rotation's been up and down. Bieber's, you look at his numbers, they're pretty good, but he's not dominant.
No.
Right? Quantrill's been pretty bad. Allen's been mostly good. Couple bad starts. He's a young pitcher. He's been good. Bibby's been excellent for the most part.
Rough bumps are coming, though, for Bibby.
The young pitchers are going to have ups and downs.
Sure.
McKenzie's getting close to coming back. Savali.
That'll be a boost.
Listen, the rotation's fine. It's good enough. But The lineup's just awful. It's just so it's horrible.
They're putting out one of the most anemic offenses ever.
And it should be better, obviously, especially Jimenez. And
I'm putting it on those three. I'm putting it on. Quan's been fine. He's fine, and he had a terrible day last year.
Better than but
Quan's not holding this team back.
No.
Right field has been a disappointment. Yes, Brennan hasn't hit Gonzalez in the minors. Yes, but I'm telling.
As much as I don't like Straw, he is what he is. I mean, you knew what you were getting for him.
I'm fine with the $5 million Gold Glover. I'm fine with that. But the three guys that they invested big dollars in, Jimenez, Bell, and Zunino, I really feel is why they are in this position, because they have not gotten the return on investment on those three guys.
Agreed. I disagree with you on the Straw thing, because the bottom line to me is most center fielders are very good defensively.
Yeah.
So I could get a guy who's a little worse than him in center field that's a much better hitter. I understand what you're saying. He's not an everyday player to me. Whatever he's getting paid.
In the right lineup, I think he is.
Yeah. If you have a lineup that's awesome and he's your ninth guy, fine.
And again,
if he started for the game.
But they don't have that.
But again, if Zunino, Jimenez, and Bell were putting up the numbers worthy of the money that they gave them last winter, you'd feel a lot differently about Straw batting ninth.
And but again, you knew they weren't going to have a great lineup.
Straw's doing exactly what you knew he was going to. It's the other three that have been
if
huge
Straw was
disappointments.
playing for Tampa, fine. I don't care that he's playing every day, because the other 8 guys can hit, but they don't have that. And so it hurts, because you get no production out of him. You get nothing out of catcher. Again, just like last year, you have 3 spots in the lineup with no production. And that's not even including Bell, Jimenez, and Rosario, who have given you no production, even though you're expecting more.
But you guys would know this better than me. But are they really putting emphasis on, organizational emphasis on, we want to develop hitters? That's what we're going to do. We've been lacking. We found good defensive players. We found guys that hustle. We found guys that are pitchers. We found pitchers galore. We're going to put an emphasis on finding guys.
They have generally not done a good job of developing hitters.
Yeah, that's been a blind spot. They've been terrific at pitching, hitting not so much. Jose's internal. He was a homegrown guy. Quan was a homegrown guy. But for the most part, Jimenez was a trade. Naylor was a trade. Since the 90s, really. Since the power lineups of the 90s.
Think about some of their top hitting prospects. Zimmer, bust.
Yeah.
Clint Frazier, bust. You look at the,
Lonnie Chisenhall, bust.
Right. Nolan Jones, we'll see if he's any good.
Yeah.
Benson, we'll see if he's any good. So far, way too
Matt
early to tell all those
LaPorta
guys.
Well,
they traded for him.
That was a trade.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be good, but they haven't done a good job of and a lot of their prospects have been hyped. And that's why I would trade him, because I don't know if these guys are going to be any good.
Right.
They have, let's go. Let's get moving here. I agree with you. Trade Rosario now. He did a good job last year.
You're not going to get anything for him.
No.
You're going to get a high A infielder or a middling reliever, but it's just a matter of, you can't DFA him, because I think it would piss off the locker room because of how he is felt and viewed in there. I don't think you can DFA him.
They need to piss off the locker room. They're playing like a bunch of wimps right now.
Well, but I think if you just need to trade him.
Yeah.
Just trade him.
They got Baltimore.
I'm sick of them trading for minor leaguers.
They got Baltimore and St. Louis coming up. St. Louis first, then Baltimore. The next 2 series.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, Baltimore and St. Louis, you said?
Yeah.
St. Louis has righted the ship, as I thought they would eventually.
Baltimore's been great. Baltimore's bullpen is dynamite.
Hey, it could get real ugly.
Well, in this division, it won't get real ugly. I think they'll be hanging around all along.
Did you see my tweet yesterday? The record of the AL Central teams in games when they're not playing each other.
No, Lord, no.
Let me
bring up this tweet real quick before the end of the show.
They are 60, according to Adam the Bull.
Yeah.
The 5 AL Central teams are combined 65 and 104 in games against teams in the
there was
other 5
one, and it's now 66 at 104 because the Twins beat the Giants yesterday. 66 and 104. That's 38 games under 500 against non-AL Central teams. Every team in this division is under 500 against teams not in the division. And by the way, that includes the NL Central, which is almost as bad as the AL. Not quite as bad, but almost as bad as the AL Central. I should figure out these 5 teams' records against teams only in the East and West America.
Well, I was going to say, if the Guardians were in the East, how far out would they be? It'd probably be 15 games.
Yeah.
15 games.
Yeah,
the Blue Jays are 2 games over 500. They're 9.5 back, so they'd be 16.5 games back.
16.5.
We got 20 seconds, which is almost as many games as the Guardians would be back if they were in the AL Central.